everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Good morning, Celeste. How are you today?
Good morning, Sifu. I'm fabulous. How are you today?
I'm exceptional, getting better every day. I try
Love
anyway.
it.
I go for it. I go for every day.
Love that.
I'm excited. You and I met in Connecticut, and your stage presence was spot on. It was beautiful. You had this flair about you, and this is what you do for people. What I wanna talk to you first about is you. I want to get to know you. I want the audience to get to know you. So the way this show goes is we go from your childhood to today. So it's take us on that journey of yours, because it's a beautiful journey. It's an interesting journey. So where were you born, and who would you say influenced you before the age of 15?
Well, I was born in Spokane, Washington, to a teen mother. So yes, many, many years ago. I'm 49 years young. So that was a minute ago. I wanted to say probably the people that truly influenced me before 15, my grandparents, my mother's parents who helped raise me, were such a beautiful influence in the best way. They just gave unconditional love. And I felt almost as if they were, almost an extension of my parents. So I miss them dearly. They passed a few years ago, but they were very, very big at just this beautiful acceptance. They were always in service of others, and it really taught me how to give to others.
Wow, beautiful. And if you think about it, they were raising you and your mom.
Mm-hmm.
So
They
that
sure
had
were.
to be a challenge for them, but one that they were willing to take, and they did it beautifully. So
Yeah.
kudos to
Thank
them.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So many people don't understand when somebody goes through that, and they're like, well, you had this problem, or because they call it a problem, right? Not that you were a problem, but they'll say you've made this choice, you live with it. But they stepped up, right? They said, you know what, you made a choice, maybe not the best choice at the time, but let's make the most of it, and let's be there for both of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't abandon your mom, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, they truly were just fully accepting, although they let her decide on what decision she was going to make with me, whether it was adopting, keeping. They did not want to have any input whatsoever because this was her decision. So I'm glad she decided to keep me.
Yes, we are too. Because your life would have been different, right? But that's also something that was pretty incredible for them to do that for her, not to control her life.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So many parents want to control their children, but we all have a voice, even when we're young. And your mom had a voice, and she was able to express it, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
How is your relationship, or was your relationship with your mom?
I was always very close with my mother. I didn't get much time with her growing up because she was a teen. She went to night school, summer school to graduate high school early. And then she went right into nursing school. And actually, my parents got married right before I was 3. And I mean, imagine that's just they're 18 and 20, still very young, trying to make ends meet. So I didn't get to see her much as she continued her education and worked full time. So the moments I did get with her, I definitely cherished. So we were always close to the point now. I mean, still, she's my best friend and I love her dearly. So yeah, really special relationship.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So growing up, your grandparents were a huge proponent of your life. Then now you're living with your mom and your dad because they got married when you were 3. What was it like did you still live with your grandparents or did you move out? What was that like?
Yeah. No, I moved in with my parents. I remember that's probably my earliest memory was this apartment that we lived in. And probably the most traumatizing was there was a guy who hunted deer. And in the garage, there was a skinned deer hanging, and a 3-year-old coming. I remember closing my eyes because it terrified me, and I couldn't see this skinned deer hanging from this garage. Yeah, I mean, obviously it was traumatizing for a 3-year-old, but this is my earliest memory of us being together as a family. And I always wanted my mom to pay attention to me. So I'd be a good little girl. I'd sit down and wait for her and I'd pretend that I was studying just like she was, and kind of mimicking her in a way for her to almost give me attention. Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting.
Yeah.
What was schooling like for you? Did you have people in school who influenced you in a positive way, negative way, bullying, all that kind of stuff? So give me a snapshot of school for you.
I think as a child, even throughout my adult life, there was a pattern of being a good girl, being the good student. I excelled in school to this, I was very smart. I would ask questions. I would be quiet. I would be the good girl, because that's how I learned to get love, acceptance, and worth. It started from a very young age. Although I think every kid gets bullied at some point, right? I think I was in 7th grade and middle school kids are just mean. And there was just some random bully. I didn't even know who she was. But for the most part, I was pretty much friends with everyone. A little bit, didn't matter what clique, it didn't matter what group. I really enjoyed people. So I never really stuck with any particular clique, if you will, because that was really big in high school.
Right.
I just got made fun of a couple times for being the good girl, for raising my hand, for always knowing the answers. So then I stopped doing that because I didn't want to be made fun of because I was a goody two-shoe or whatever that's the word back then. So, but yeah, for the most part, until I was a senior in high school, I was a good child.
Got it. Wow, all the way through high school, huh? That's great.
I say senior year because that's when I started to really rebel and go through some things then.
What kind of rebellion are you talking about?
Well, so my parents got divorced when I was 16, which I was a sophomore, I believe. Maybe in my junior year, it started to get rocky. So my parents, because they were teens, they never experienced what teenage life was like. They didn't experience what going to college was like. And when you miss these paramount growth patterns in your life, when you have a freedom, you kind of go back and revert to something that you missed. And that's what my parents did. So my mom ended up going out and partying and like going to bars. And my dad was also doing the same and not showing up and not being there. So I took on very much of an adult role at 17. And at 18, I started going out to bars and drinking and getting into the clubs that I could get into with a fake ID. And because I was like, I had a very strict childhood, and then I went from having no rules, and I was pushing the boundaries of what that looked like for me. So I would skip school, and I only had to go to school half days. I was also working, but it just was like this freedom that I didn't know existed on the outer world. So I was emulating a lot of what my parents were doing at the time.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because they were
Mhm.
doing it. Why shouldn't you? Right?
Yeah,
Makes a lot of sense.
right.
Uh, when we think about, your childhood, schooling, what you saw your parents going through, um, and the effect it had on you, because it's like I might as well jump on this bandwagon and let's have some fun, right?
hmm
Um, when did you realize that you actually had to do some adulting?
Well, Sifu, you ask a question where I'm the oldest of five children.
Mm.
And so I was put in a position of responsibility at the age of 8.
Oh
I
wow.
remember that's the first time my father left to go to a work meeting, and my mom was a nurse, so she worked these 12-hour shifts. And I was left with two young children. I was a child myself.
Right.
And that continued. That was like a random one. But, at the age of 11, I was left to babysit all my siblings.
Wow.
And it's not something I would ever imagine doing to my daughter, right? It just, the responsibility that was put on me as a young child, and that, so I was adulting for a very long time.
I get you. Thank you for clarifying that.
It's okay. Yeah, so it just was like, I think that when I started that 17, 18, getting a little rebellious, I was like, oh, I don't want to take care of the kids. I don't want to have the responsibilities. So there was a lot of elements tied to that, not just,
Mm.
oh, there's no strict parents anymore. There's just this freedom. It's kind of a whole circle, if you will.
Mm. Mm. It's interesting when you had to take care of someone else at such a young age. Um, my sister, I'm one of 12. I'm number 10, right?
Wow.
And my oldest sister she remembers changing my diapers, and doing all that stuff. So she basically, I don't know if she even had a childhood, because she was
Mm,
parenting all of us, right? And
yeah.
she's an angel. My sister's an angel. So how does your relationship with your siblings now?
So it's interesting you said that, because the baby, we're 12 years apart.
Mm.
And he still sees me as a junior mom, or kind of a motherly figure almost, even though I'm his sister.
Right.
Um, Still to this day, I'm the one that they look to plan things, to organize things, to, give them guidance. And I love that. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Although I've stepped off the gas a little bit with wanting to do everything, because it was exhausting. I
Mm.
mean, it was like, okay, you guys can take ownership and do something. You are clearly adults. Let's get out of the
Right.
same patterns that we had growing up. Although it's really beautiful to see my siblings really notice all the successes and all the things that I'm accomplishing lately, and really rooting for me. It's a beautiful thing. Um, Constantly saying how proud they are of me, and the continued, what I'm doing in life right now, and the things that I've done. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I'm
Very
very fortunate to have my siblings.
That's very interesting, because when you said that your youngest one, sibling, calls you like your mother, sister, um,
hmm
that's what my sister calls herself to me. She calls herself, "I'm your mother, sister," and so
Mm.
it's very interesting. Even on Mother's Day, I reach out to her,
Aw.
because
Yeah.
I basically, I lived with my parents for the first 2.5 years of my life, and then from the age of 8 to 10. And then all the other time, my sister took care of me. So it's
Wow.
very interesting. And I see her with, as a mom, as somebody that I can call and talk to anything about. Um, so it's beautiful that you have this relationship and they look up to you because you were there for them, right?
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you said that they celebrate you for your successes and so forth. I want to get into what your successes are and when did you start to facilitate that? Because today, the conversation, the topic is elevating identity and presence. And
Mm.
how did you start to elevate your identity? And what made you realize that I needed to elevate it?
So, this journey of mine, I want to say to where I'm at, started about 28 years ago when
Mm,
I really started understanding that there was elements of like my adulthood that I needed to figure out, to work on. It was not an easy journey, but I want to say it really started about when I was 22 and I was married at the time. I got married at 21 to
mm,
someone I went to high school with because he provided some stability for me. And I mistook that for love. But long
mm,
story short, it's 22 and going through a divorce. So it was the very first time that I really was on my own. And I know that I needed to move out and to get my own place. And because of our situation, I basically had 48 hours to come up with $2,000 for first down payment, first month,
mm.
whatever that looked like, so
Right.
that I could continue to stay in college, which was a very important goal of mine to get my education. And at that moment, I was waitressing at Outback Steakhouse, making just enough money to pay my utility bills, but not that much money.
Right.
And my family didn't have money. My friends were college students. So I was presented an opportunity. I was living in Las Vegas at the time I knew someone who worked at an adult club and she was a dancer and I understood like she made, $500 on a very bad night. And for me, I was like, wow,
Mm.
that was 2 weeks of pay for me if I was lucky.
Right, right.
And I made a decision to go start dancing at an adult club so that I could survive. And that was really one of the first moments I can remember of this road of survival. But I knew that I had an end goal to get my education. And I ended up getting my education. I got a 4-year degree in political science and international studies. And I was planning to go to law school. That was the goal. But I remember coming out of the 4-year school and saying, oh my God, I don't think I want to become a lawyer. I think
Mm,
everyone else wants me to be a lawyer. My
right.
parents, maybe my boyfriend at the time, was a prestigious degree. But if I spent another 3 years of my life in something coming out of that I maybe didn't want to, I was like, no, I think I need to stop for a minute and start looking at things that really make me want to do something. What am I passionate about? What gives me a sense of purpose? And that was the first time I ever kind of started to look at things that gave me that feeling. So I started looking into things and, as I was discovering these things, my mom said, why don't you become an image consultant?
Mm,
Because you like to dress people, you like to go shopping, you have this natural creative side to you and you're really good at it. And I didn't even know what that meant at the time. So I looked up what an image consultant was and I realized people get paid to help people look and feel good about themselves. And I said, whatever that is, sign me up for that. I want to do that.
wow, wow. Um, I don't want to skip over an important part of your life.
Mm,
How was that first night dancing in an adult male club?
mm.
What was that? How scared were you? Because everybody thinks it's not a big deal, but it had to have been a big deal for you. How was your confidence level? Where was your fear? What were the
Yeah.
things going through your mind?
Well, I was terrified,
I'm
but
sure.
I understood that this was a decision I made to get me out of an apartment to a new apartment. So I went to the bar and I got 2 shots, and I said, like, after that, okay, let's go. And thank God there was a girl there that kind of took me under her wing for a second. She was like, "Oh, it's your first night. I've got you. I've been there. I'm going to help you I'm going to show you the ropes," if you will. And I just kind of went for it, and it felt awkward. It felt truly in my soul and the makeup of my body that this was almost like I had to put on a costume or an outfit
Facade,
and
right?
a
Yeah.
facade for sure, and become someone who I wasn't, just to survive, just to make money. And that's what I did.
Mm.
Yeah.
It got easier.
So
It did it not get easier? Did you have to have 2 shots every night?
No, I did not, but it led to a very lifestyle of drinking with clients. You know, that was very much the thing to do. And I think you can do it sober. Don't get me wrong. I've done it sober as well, but there is a lifestyle, if you will, that's attached to it. And it's very easy to get sucked into a lifestyle, working in that type of industry. So I think there was a time in my life where it got easier because I understood what it took to do those things, and I checked out even further. I understood that, and actually it did more damage than it ended up helping me at the end of the day. My worth was defined on how much money I made. I ended up living this life of there was no soul to it.
Right.
But yeah, so it was very damaging to me, which I already added to the damage I had as a child. So, you know, it it took a long time to work through a lot of those issues, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
When did you realize that you didn't want that lifestyle anymore? Because obviously you started with a purpose, and you found a way to accomplish a goal, which is very commendable, right? Because a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm just doing it for the money," but
Mm-hmm.
the money was part of the catalyst to get your goal, right? To finish college, to probably become a lawyer, and then you realize you weren't going to be doing that. When did you realize, hey, you know what? I need to change my lifestyle and reclaim me?
Mm-hmm. Well, I always thought that. But after I graduated, I didn't quit dancing yet. So, but that's when I started to, after I was like, what do I want to do? I'm not going to law school. So I got certified as an image consultant and knew that I wanted to start and completely stop, but I also needed to pay the bills. So I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'll just dance here and there, just to make the bills and figure it out. Because once I got certified, I didn't have a business mentor. I didn't know how to run a business. Nobody taught me anything. And so I was just learning on the fly. And back then, I got certified in 2006. And so Facebook even wasn't really booming for a couple years. So the way that we advertised, the way that people got to know us was like flyers, going to networking events like a BNI or any local events. It was a lot more time constraining. So today it's such a beautiful thing. We can get on any type of platform. But still to that day, so I did stop dancing for a while, but I did go back because as soon as I got certified as an image consultant, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And so I quit dancing then. Right. But there was a moment after I had her and she was, I don't know, 8 months or so, that I ended up going back because I just couldn't pay the bills. So I was a sole parent always. when I got pregnant, most people are very excited. Although I wanted a child, just the circumstances were not in my favor, in the sense that her father, I knew, was not going to be around. He was into drugs, and I did not want any part of that in mine or my child's life.
Right.
And so, that being said, I had a home, and trying to get a business up and going and raise a child all by myself was a lot. And so there was moments that I went back to dancing so that I could put food on the table.
Was it tougher knowing that you had a baby at home?
That was the hardest, because this was sober Celeste. This was where I felt my body had changed. I felt that I was older. I felt in my every cell in the makeup of my body that it was screaming at me that this was not for me. And so it was in my DNA, like, run, get out of here. Why are you here again? Get out of this situation. Yeah. So it was difficult.
So that became, I guess, a calling for you to figure out how to get out of it so you never go back. Talk to me about the last night you ever danced and you said, "Oof, this is it. I am so excited. I'm never coming back." Did you even have that thought?
I did not. I did not. I don't even remember that. I just, it's interesting because I understand the patterns of where that stems from. The feeling of like, I can only make money through my body. And that was still, I have moments in my life, even to this day, where sometimes if I'm scared of money problems, sometimes it still pops into my head, even to this day.
Really?
Yeah. Even after years and years and years of not dancing, thinking the worst case scenario, I could always go, like, this is insane. I'm 49 years old, but like, it's something where I notice and understand, and I've been working on, what's that deeper reasoning for that to come up. I just remember when I started to not have to make money that way, and made it in a way that was so congruent to me, and it was so beautiful with my soul. I've been so happy and aligned, and it didn't just happen when I quit dancing. I started a skincare business on the side. I did other things to try to supplement my income as an image consultant. Because when I got certified and throughout the years, there was this one way of making business as an image consultant. You can only charge X amount of dollars, and it's per hour, and it just isn't feasible to live that type of that business model. Right. And I always was like, how can I make this work for me? And so when I understood that there was other ways to make businesses that are business models, especially today, online coaching, it doesn't always have to be what it was, because this was very old school ways of thinking. And don't put me in a box, because I am not that person. So
not less than a box. No way.
No, I always think outside of the box. I'm a creative. I want to create a life that's for me, but it's also for my client. Like, that's this beautiful synergy. So finally, that's what I have today.
So talk to us about what you do have today. I want to just share this with everybody, and then we'll come back and we want to get into that part. So everybody just take a quick peek as I bring this up and take a look. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan. Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. So that is me.
I love it.
That's one of the things that I love, helping people understand that the body that they have is truly a gift, and they need to take care of it. And
Right.
you obviously take care of your body, right? You're very vibrant. You have all this energy about you. When I met you, that's what I saw. I saw this beautiful woman moving around with flair, with this pizzazz, if you will. And you carry it even now when we're speaking, in the way you speak and the way you spoke on stage. You were very open, and that is, I think, a beautiful thing that some people don't allow themselves to be. So, Celeste, you are now helping other people do that in their lives. And that's because your business really took off because you put your passion into it. Talk to us about that.
So even the last couple years, I've really started to dive into me personally, because I really truly feel there was still a lot of missing elements that weren't translating into business even. And that comes from yourself, right? It comes from understanding not just where you've come from, but owning every part of you and accepting every part of you. And the things that it took 28 years for me to do, I help people do that in 6 months, a year, 2 years, because it's through what I've been through, I help people get through. So I'm really helping them taking a version of themselves that no longer works. So whether they have moved into a new career, a new passion, they're an entrepreneur, they're speaking on stage now and they never did before, I help them. And a lot of times what's happening is their image isn't congruent with their message. So their outward appearance does not match the message that they are speaking to their audience. So I make sure that that's congruent, but it's not just about putting on the clothes and putting on the right colors and curating a wardrobe. It's making sure that I'm taking them through a process where they fully embody the new version of themselves. And so it's a lot more deeper work than just giving them an outfit, because this is something, all the tools that I did, all the things that I did to get to this point, I'm giving these to them and helping them experience what it is and how to truly live through this beautiful version of who they are now.
Oh, yeah. Love it. It's the old saying is that the outfit makes the person, but I believe that it's the person has to fit in the outfit. It's almost the other saying is like, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, right?
I've never heard that. That's awesome.
It's still a pig no matter what. But the pig has to embody that it's wearing lipstick, and it'll act differently, right?
Right.
Think about the Muppets, right? Miss Piggy, she is so dapper and so out there. And it's very funny that they took this character, if you will, and they made her beautiful, right? But she's still a pig, right? But I'm not saying that a client is a pig or that they're ugly or this or that, but they need to embrace who they are. And I think that a lot of times I see people uncomfortable in their clothes. But when you see somebody who is extremely comfortable in their clothes, it doesn't look like they worked putting it on. That's
Mm.
to see. That when I saw you, I was like, man, that's her. Right? This is what I saw.
Yeah, but it took me a long time to get there. I played small.
Mm,
I didn't voice of what I truly wanted because I was making others happy. I was doing things to make money to make people happy. I never really discovered who I was. I mean, it's taken me so many years of owning, no, it's okay to be loud and vibrant. It's okay to be passionate about things. It's okay to wear bright colors.
mm,
It's okay to make a decision of what I want to do first before someone else. And that happened about 4 years ago, only 4 years ago. And I remember this I remember what it was because it was my first invitation to Fashion Week. And I was so
mm.
excited. This has always been like in my bucket list, if you will. And I got invited through a friend who was a designer. And she's like, you want to go to Fashion Week? And I was like, oh my God, yes. It's like one of my biggest like dreams. And I had another ticket to bring someone. And I
Mm,
asked all of my good friends, and nobody was available or nobody could go. And then I asked my daughter, and she was kind of hemming and hawing because she's like, that's your thing, mom. So really not mine. But I remember I said, no matter what, I'm going to go because this is something I want to do.
mm.
I didn't think of who's going to take care of my daughter. I didn't think of who else I'm going, and whoever comes with me is going to come with me.
Right.
And I remember that being so freeing and liberating. And I had the absolute like time of my life, but it was more than that. It was the decision that I made for myself 100%
Mm,
fully, and to how empowering that was, and how to feel for the first time that I was truly in alignment with my soul was so amazing.
mm. Yeah, I love that. It's very interesting. I was at an event this past Saturday, and there was three fashion designers who presented their whole. So it was a runway type of deal, and it was so
Mm,
interesting to see the colors, the beauty, the way people were impressed by what they
mm,
saw. That it was a success because people were buying outfits left and right. Right. So the designers did a really incredible job of showing people that, hey, you know what? I can get into that outfit too. Even though
yeah.
these models are like beyond beautiful, but it didn't matter who they
Mm,
are. They can still get into an outfit like that. I've seen and I've had friends who were tired of choosing what to wear, and so they went with the certain color pants, certain color shirt, and that's all. And if you go into their closet, that's all you saw. And
mm.
I've never been to their closet, but I can tell because they said, I bought 4 of these, I bought 5 of these, and I'm like, the same? You look the same every day?
Mm,
Oh, there's
it's a
no
safe. It's safe.
because they don't wanna think, right? So they don't wanna take the energy to think of it. Steve Jobs did that, and it worked for him, but there's an old picture of him. I think he wore a tuxedo once, right?
Mm,
B
yeah, yeah. That was his brand.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with branding, but everybody thinks, "Oh, I'm gonna be Steve Jobs." No, Steve Jobs is Steve Jobs. You have to be you,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yes.
I love I don't know if you might have seen it, the Bee Movie, where he's going
Oh,
through his closet, and he's going black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and
yes.
yellow. He goes, "Yellow and black, look at that, look what I can wear today." But it's how we perceive how an outfit makes us feel, because talk to us about the importance
Mm.
of that.
So, to understand who you are at the core, the authenticity of you is probably the first step that I talk about with my clients after discovering some other things. what does that mean? Like understanding your personality. So, for example, you said that I was vibrant and bright. Well, that's part of my personality. So, imagine putting a clothing on me that's very dull or muted. That color would mute my energy. It would quiet me. And I think when you talk about people when they have the same things, or that's kind of like the boring, if you will, with their outfits, a lot of people play safe because they don't know who they are or what to wear. But number two, there's also this thing that I see where people wear black a lot. So black is an elegant color at the core, like black tie, you think of wearing black then, but black does something else. Black allows you to stay hidden. It allows you to be quiet. And so a lot of people wear black so that you don't notice them. Because if you were to come up to them and talk to them, they might be shy, they might be introverted, they might not even want you to know, they might not know what to say because they're not clear on their mission or their goals. So black is interesting. I think a lot of people, it's a safe color. So when you understand who you are at the core, if you are introverted, I'm still not putting you in black. I'm going to put you in colors that are more congruent with your personality. That's the one thing. Another thing, we're going to talk about fabrics, cuts and designs, lines and designs on your body that best serve you, that best give you the right proportion. Because I'm going to give you a statistic that a lot of people might not know here. So when we're seeing someone for the first time, 55% is the way that we're understanding them. 55% is the way that they look. 38% is their tone and their body language. And 7% is the actual words that are spoken. And so when you understand that the way that you dress, the way that you groom yourself, the way that you carry yourself before you speak, eye contact, handshakes, all tell a story about you. And if you walk into a room and you own the room with your presence, you take up space, you look someone in the eye, you smile, you allow someone to be invited into your space. You're not closed off in body language, even says something completely different than if someone is coming into a room very timid. They're wearing black. I'm just using black as an example. Their arms are closed off. They're maybe not really making eye contact or shaking hands. Tells another story. Right. So understanding how important your presence is, and that makes up everything, can make or break a deal, can open or close doors for you, can give you an opportunity to meet someone you may have not met if you weren't open and honest and secure with who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I've interviewed so many people for job positions. And it's very interesting how they think they should show up to a job position. I had one particular guy who was a Marine. He came in his Marine outfit.
Oh, wow.
And I took him serious. I actually hired him. And because he took pride in who he was, who he embodied. And so and I hired him and I hired a young lady, both at the same time, because she dressed to the T's. And I probably interviewed about 40 people in a 3-day span, right? And they were the only ones that stood out because of the way they spoke and the way they dressed. Don't get me wrong. I had other gentlemen who came in suits. I had other people who came in T-shirts. I had one girl show up in her pajamas, which was
no.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So I thanked her for coming, of course.
Of course.
But people, I guess she was telling me she's comfortable, and I appreciated that. But it wasn't for the position I was looking for. And it's interesting. So talk to us about the importance of, here's where I'm going at. I hired at a different time. I hired a young lady who came extremely presentable, and then I gave her the code of conduct, obviously, and the code of dress that I expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she was coming in and she was going to be the face of my facility. When people walked in, that's the first person they saw. And I said, you know, you need to dress this way. And the way you came in the first time we met, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. This is what I'm looking for. I would say for the first week, that's how she came.
Mm.
And then after that, oh my goodness. It was just, I thought I had a circus showing up.
Mm.
It was all discombobulated all over the place. That one day she's wearing pajama pants and a top. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Wow.
And we had this conversation. And, you know, eventually she just didn't want to listen, didn't want to change. So I said, okay, well, remember our first conversation. So unfortunately, I had to let her go, but she was a great girl. But when people come in, their first impression was important to me so that they knew that we were taking their business seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us about when you show up to an interview and what you do even afterwards, like this young lady didn't.
Well, I think just on a side note, I think she was being someone who she truly wasn't when
Mm.
she dressed for, let's say, you or the job position, the job role. And then she didn't, it sounded like she just didn't care. And that's exactly why you probably let her go.
Mhm.
Because how we speak so much. If we're 7% the words, we're speaking to you constantly. How to show up for a job interview is very important, but it has to be congruent as well to who you are. So, and I want to preface this too, is you need to research the company
Mhm.
before you go to a job interview. Find out if this works for you, if this resonates for you. Because a lot of times we just go to a job and we go because for whatever reasons, but we're not choosing somewhere that's in alignment with us as well. So I would say that's probably first and foremost. Do a little research, see if the values and the mission and all the things align with who you are as an individual, because then I feel that it could truly work. Showing up as the best version of yourself shows that you have respect, not just for the company, but for yourself. It shows that you're capable, because when you're going on interviews, the employer, your future employer, wants to see that you're capable, that you're trustworthy, right? We're sending messages, whether that's the way that our hair is brushed, the way that our makeup is, the grooming, our body odor, are we taking care of ourselves in
Yes.
that sense? Our shoes, are they, well, it's not just about a shirt or a pants, it's like accessories, it's like the whole package. So keep that in mind, as it also gives you the ability to stand up straight and feel good about yourself. Tell me the last time you didn't dress up, whether, I'm not talking about like to a gala, but taking care of yourself gives you that self-confidence that nobody else can give you. It comes from within. So just remember, going to an interview and having the right body language is so important. Make sure that you're looking that person in the eye, you're shaking hands and you have a firm handshake, and you're hearing things, you're allowing people to hear, and you also have words of clarity, of wisdom, of what you're going to bring to this job, and own it, right? Be confident and know that you're the right fit for this job position.
Mhm. It reminded me when you're talking about the job and so forth. I worked for, it's closed now. It used to be the Ziegfeld in Manhattan on
Mm-hmm.
54th Street. And it was celebrities that used to come in all the time. I met so many of them, took pictures of them and so forth. But we had to wear a tuxedo every single day we were working. And even if a celebrity wasn't walking in, regular people, we always had to be in a tuxedo. And I took pride in that. I was so excited to be in a tuxedo. I was 16 years
Mm.
old when I got that job, I was 16 years old. By the time I was 17 and a half, I was in charge of all the ushers, right? And the reason happens because I took pride in what I was doing. And there were guys there who were in their 40s and their shirts were dirty, their collars, and like you're wearing a tuxedo. And I can see they didn't take the tuxedos to get laundered or to the dry cleaners. But
Mm.
I used to have 4 tuxedos, even though I worked, just to flip them around and take them to,
Mm.
but for me, I took pride in it. And the owners of the place noticed that in me. And so whenever a celebrity came, I was the one that would walk them around, take them to a private area, and even walk them to their seats and all that stuff. So people can see if you take pride, right? They can feel it. And
Yeah.
I got lucky that way because I took pride. I was like, you mean I have to wear this cool outfit? To me, it was cool, right? To the other guys, it was just a job. And there's like, oh, I got to wear this monkey suit. That's what they used to call it, a monkey suit.
And
And to me, it's like, what are you talking about? This is the coolest thing, right? And, the bow ties and the shoes and they wore any kind of, it just had to be black shoes. But for me, it was like, my shoes had to be nice. And I also worked with another gentleman there who was, older, and he was dressed to the T's. This guy was beautifully dressed. This is back in 1982. And back then he was buying $800 shoes.
Wow.
$800 shoes back then, Italian and those. And then he would tell me, look at these shoes I just bought. I'm like, wow. And his belt, everything was top notch. And I kind of learned from him to take pride in you. And I said to him, I said, couldn't you have bought those for 50? He goes, yes, but they weren't made by a special guy in Italy that I know. Da, 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 da. So he went through the whole thing, and I go, okay, I understand. And so for me, that really left an impact in my life. So whenever I dress, when I worked in corporate, I had 14 suits.
Yeah.
When I left corporate, I didn't need suits anymore. So I still dress nice. So I was like, all these suits are hanging in my closet. I said, why don't I give them away? I gave them away. And then I started going to events. I'm like, oh man, or a wedding. I need a suit. So all of a sudden, I now have like 20 suits. And yet I don't need them for work.
Yeah.
I enjoy them so much that sometimes I'll say to my fiance, I say, I need a jacket. And she goes, another one? I said, yep. Another one. I said, because, I want to go to an event. So right now I have like 4 jackets in my closet that are really cool looking and nice and make me feel good, but I haven't worn them yet. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm waiting for this event. I'm going to go to this. I'm going to do that. And so I love the fact that you're helping people to discover that part of their life, because life is beautiful, but it's how you interpret it. And sometimes the clothing makes a huge difference, right?
It sure does.
I wonder how many men out there have ever had a tailored shirt even, right?
Yeah, I think that a tailor is it's like gold to find a good tailor,
Right.
because you don't have to have necessarily a custom suit, which I prefer just for many reasons. But if you can't afford a custom jacket or shirt yet, at least take it to a tailor. And I always recommend, if it's buy it where it fits in the biggest part of you, like, shoulders, belly, whatever that looks like, and then have everything else altered. Because when you have something, the fit is everything, and also fit, fabric, color. So it's a multiple, ensemble, if you will. But to find a good tailor, you can take anything and make it look like it's $1,000 or a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
An ill-fitting custom suit look sloppy, doesn't look like it's, even if it's good and well made and it's custom. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was at a tailor and I was visiting California, and you know, he had like suitcase because we were all. I was at a mastermind and we were all getting shirts made, right?
Mm,
Because we were doing a special thing, and he came with a suitcase, just of the fabrics,
mm.
so we can pick the fabric of the shirt and yeah, I've gone to tailors, but I never knew that one could travel to you. So that was kind of cool, right? And
Very cool.
that was very, very cool because I know that I can go to a tailor. I didn't know that we had traveling tailors, and this guy was phenomenal. You know, taking the measurements and everything as I had done 1,000 times. But the fact that he brought like a suitcase of all this cool fabrics,
Yeah.
shoes and everything, and it was interesting, right? And it wasn't just one and done. It was a phone call. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? So he took care not just to measure and make sure you selected, but then to follow up with,
Mm,
this is happening, your shirt is here, it's happening here. And I've been to tailors, but not as detailed as this gentleman was, right?
that's
So
amazing.
it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool
Yeah.
to say.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. It's and you said it's not necessarily cheap, but women have more choices.
Mm,
And sometimes I'm like, oh man, if I go to the store, there's only these bunch of colors that I can choose from. A woman goes to the store, it's everything is there, right? How do you help a man to celebrate their manhood, if you will, when they do go to a store? Let's
mm,
say they even go to a Men's Warehouse or something like that.
mhm. So I don't think it's about where I shop, there's lots of availability, lots of
Mm,
color. First, I want to know what their power color is, what's their goals. So there's a
mm,
lot of strategy behind it. Um, yeah, so I just got finished with a client who we made suits, we made shirts, and he got to wear colors that really complement his personality and his professional goals.
mm,
And they're unique colors in the sense that it's something that really resonated with him. So he puts this on and everybody's like, oh my God, where'd you get that? How, like, there's, and it's subtle, right? It's not this like bright yellow or something. If that was the case, we'd get a softer yellow for a stage. But his, based on his goals and his personality, it was just a beautiful thing to show him different colors
mm,
that sent the right message. I know that you talk about women have a lot of, like, a plethora of colors. We probably do have a little bit more, and that's just based on designers. But still to this day, like, if you go shopping now, there's a lot of fall colors coming
mm,
in, and not everybody can wear those fall colors.
mm.
So it's going through the selection of what the stores offer these days. That's why I really love if you can purchase custom, because then you have every color to
Yeah.
work with. And even if it's a shirt, right? A custom shirt isn't any more than you're paying for an off the rack shirt. I mean, let's say it's $250 for a custom shirt. It's $250 for a high end shirt at Saks or whatever. And you're getting something that fits you. You're getting the right fabric for you, and you're also getting the right color for you. So it makes a lot more sense to do something like that.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Celeste, thank you for taking the time today. And I know that you have a crazy busy schedule, and taking the time, it really means a lot to me. So thank you for that. What I'd love for people to do is to connect with you. So I'm going to have two ways of people to connect with you. One is going to go across the bottom, and that's your Instagram. And the next one is going to be a QR code. People can click on the QR code, and that's your website, right? It's
Yes.
celestemore.com. So either take out your phone and click on that or follow her on Instagram. Tell us what somebody can expect when they do connect with you. You have about 45 minutes to a minute.
45 seconds. Perfect. So I kind of take you through a process to see if we're the right fit for each other, because that doesn't always, make sense. And I can refer you to someone that makes a little bit more sense. I do work with a lot of speakers, a lot of people that are podcasting, but we get on a call. We have a discovery, if you will, and we talk about your needs and wants and kind of why you're looking to come to an image consultant. And we get to the heart of what's going on and see if I'm a good fit for you. And then I tell you a little bit about what that 6 months of working with me looks like. So it's a very easy call. You can go and see my calendar, jump on a call. It's free. We get to know each other and see if working together works. I've got people ready for TEDx stages. I've got people ready for brand shoots, so on and so forth. So yeah, take a look at my website and reach out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sifu.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And thank you so much for sharing so many incredible tips with us on what we need to feel like when we put on an outfit, right? Somebody recently said to a friend of mine, is like, oh my gosh, you always look so polished, so well groomed. And, he said, it's because I make an investment in myself. And I think that was beautifully said. And it is that. It's an investment in yourself. And even if you're not going for a job interview, even if you're going just out to dinner, it's how you present yourself, how you feel, right? That's an investment in yourself. So I encourage everybody to connect with Celeste, connect with her. And you never know. It's a true investment in yourself. When you look at the way you dress, you look in the mirror and you go, I love that person.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you again. Everybody, do me a favor. Make sure you share the show with everyone. Somebody is to polish up their act and move forward. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have an incredible, blessed day. Celeste, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.